All right, so this is going to be my week 22 NBA power rankings. Let's get started. So our injuries here, Trae Young is doubtful to return this week, but should still be back before the playoffs. Kobe Buffkin's questionable this week. They did lose Jalen Johnson for a week, and he's questionable to return this week as well. The Pelicans, Tyson Daniels is being close to return. They sent him down to the G League to work out. Brandon Ingram's also going to be out for 2 weeks for them, so it hurts them there a little bit. 76ers, Robert Covington, still questionable this week. The Blazers, Shaden Sharp went down to the G League to work out, and Malcolm Brogdon is now questionable this week. Knicks, Julius Randle should be back by next week or maybe 1 week after that. And Mitchell Robinson is actually questionable to return this week. He hasn't played since December. Lakers, Gabe Vincent and Jared Vanderbilt are both questionable this week. Grizzlies, Marcus Smart's questionable this week. The Wizards did get Marvin Bagley back. Clippers did get Russell Westbrook back, and he was not supposed to be back until right before the playoffs, so they got him back a little bit sooner than expected. The Kings, Sasha Vezenkov's questionable this week. The Cavs, Donovan Mitchell's questionable this week, but they did get Evan Mobley back already. The Pistons lost Azar Thompson, Isaiah Stewart, and Stanley Umude for the rest of the season. So they're already not one of the best teams, and they just lost 3 players there. So yeah, at number 30 is going to be the Detroit Pistons, who are 12-60, went 0-4 this week, have 7 straight losses, and currently the 15th seed and already eliminated from the playoffs. So obviously not a very good team. They also did sign Chimezie Metu on a 10-day deal, so that's something, I guess. Number 29 is going to be the Hornets, who are 17-54, went 0-3 this week. They're the 13th seed right now, and they have already been eliminated from the playoffs as well. Number 28 is going to be the Toronto Raptors, who are the 12th seed. But they've already lost 11 straight games right now at 0-4 this week. It's only a record of 23-49. They're currently 9.5 games out of that 10 seed, so they're not technically eliminated from the playoffs yet, but give it a couple more days and they will be. Everyone's got about 10 to 12 games left, and they're 9.5 games below. So they're gonna have to go basically win out every single game and hope that the Hawks and the Nets lose a lot of games. So yeah, it's definitely not very likely for the Toronto Raptors. Number 27 is going to be the Portland Trailblazers, who are 19-53. We went 0-4 this week and have 7 straight losses as well. 14th seed in the Western Conference right now, and it definitely already been eliminated from the playoff contention over there. Yeah. Number 26 is going to be the Brooklyn Nets, 27-45. They went 1-3 this week. They're definitely not one of the better teams. Their one win was against the Raptors, so that's I guess that's something. And their 3 losses were to some pretty solid teams, being the Pelicans, Bucks, and Knicks. So you're not too upset about any of those, but you guys are sitting at the 11th seed right now, 5.5 games behind the 10 seed. So you're gonna have to probably win out from here on out if you want a chance to be able to sneak into that 10 spot, which seems very unlikely at this point. Number 25 is going to be the San Antonio Spurs, who are 16-56. They went 1-3 this week. They are the 15th seed in the West, and they've been eliminated from playoff contention. Their one win again this week was against the Phoenix Suns, so that's a pretty good win there. They played the Suns twice, lost once by 25, and then won by 2 the next day or whatever. So that's interesting there. Number 24 is going to be the Washington Wizards, who are 14-58. Went 3-1 this week, actually. Currently at a 3-game winning streak, which is apparently the longest winning streak out of any Eastern Conference team right now, which isn't really saying a whole lot because it's a 3-game winning streak. But that's, I guess, kind of impressive. They have the longest winning streak in the conference. But yeah, they're the 14th seed. They're eliminated from the playoffs, so obviously one of the worst teams. They also did get Marvin Bagley back, though, so that helps them a little bit. And they beat good teams like the Kings, Raptors, and Bulls. Raptors aren't very good, but the Bulls are solid, and the Kings are a pretty good team. So it was a good week for them. Number 23 is going to be the Utah Jazz, who are 29-43. Went 0-4 this week. Are currently the 12th seed, but are 8 whole games below the 10 spot. So definitely not looking very likely that they're going to have a chance to be able to make a push for that 10 seed. Number 22 is going to be the Memphis Grizzlies, who are 24-48. They went 1-2 this week. They're the 13th seed in the West, and they've already been eliminated from the playoffs as well. They beat the Spurs this week and they lost to the Warriors and Nuggets. So you're not really upset about either of those losses if you're a Grizzlies fan. And since you're already eliminated from the playoffs, you definitely going to be more beneficial for you guys to actually be losing more games so you get a better draft pick there. Number 21 is going to be the Atlanta Hawks, who are 32 and 39, or went 2 and 1 this week, are currently the 10 seed. They're only 1.5 games below the Bulls for the 9 seed, so definitely could jump up there, but they're likely not going to be able to jump any higher. They're sitting 6.5 games below the 8 seed, and they're 5.5 games above the 11 seed, so they're probably going to be locked into that 10 spot or maybe the 9 spot if they get a little bit better than the number 9 seed, but likely going to have to win 2 play-in games to make the actual playoffs. Number 20 is going to be the Philadelphia 76ers, who are 39 and 33. They went 1 and 3 this week, so definitely not a great look for them. Currently the 8 seed in the East. They went 5, or they're 5 games above the number 9 seed, so they're likely not going to drop any below that. They're sitting only 3.5 games below the number 5 seed, and only 1.5 games below the 6 seed, which is what you're really trying to get to here for the Sixers. You want to get up to that 6 seed at least, so you don't have to play the play-in game. And you're only 1.5 games below that number, so it's definitely very, very possible for you guys. But this week, going 1 and 3 was definitely not ideal. You're not really too upset. You didn't have the easiest schedule this week. You lost to the Suns, the Lakers, and the Kings, and you beat the Clippers. So pretty difficult week for you guys. You also signed DJ Wilson to a 10-day deal. I don't know how much that's going to help you out here, but you had a tough week this week. So hopefully you can get some more wins this next week if you want to try to make up into that number 6 seed. Number 19 is going to be the Golden State Warriors, who are 36 and 34. They went 1 and 2 this week, currently sitting at the number 10 seed, 2.5 games below the 9 seed, and likely either hold 5 games out of the 8 seed, so likely not going to be able to get up to there. But they're only sitting half a game above the 11 seed, which is, very, very concerning if you're a Warriors fan, because you definitely do not want to drop out of the top 10 because then you're not even in the playoffs or in the play-in. So that'd be very disappointing if they were to fall out of there, but I don't really know what's going to happen with that. They're looking not great in that aspect right now. Number 18 here is going to be the Chicago Bulls, who are 34 and 38. They went 0 and 3 this week. Does not help them because they were making a potential push to be up there potentially at the number 8 seed. If they would have won all 3 games this week, they would only be 2 games below that number 8 spot, but now they're only 1.5 games above 10, which is a little bit concerning because you want to be that 9 seed to at least get a home playing game, but I think they're still doing pretty solid. And you're not really too upset about this week. You lost to the Rockets and Celtics, but you also lost to the Wizards, which is definitely not a good look for you guys. Number 17 is going to be the Houston Rockets, who are 36 and 35. They went 4-0 this week and are currently on a 9-game winning streak to give them a legitimate push to be able to be in this play-in right now. Currently at the 11 seed, only half a game below the 10-seeded Warriors, only 3 games below the number 9 seed. So very easily could potentially see them jumping up here, by the end of this week being in the actual play-in bracket right now, which is obviously going to be very, very important to the Houston Rockets if they were able to jump up into there. I would not expect that they'd win a single game in that play-in tournament, but at least getting there is an accomplishment in itself, especially for a young Houston Rockets team. And this week, you played some good teams. You played the Jazz. Actually, no, take that back. Yeah, you didn't really play good teams. You played the Wizards, the Jazz, the Blazers, and the Bulls. So kind of a fairly easy week for you guys, but still you got to go out and get the job done every night, which they were able to do. Number 16 is going to be the Indiana Pacers, who are 41 and 32. They went 3 and 1 this week, which is a pretty solid week for them. Currently the 6th seed, sitting 3.5 games below the 3 seed, so very well could potentially see them jumping up there to the 3 seed still. But they're only 1 game above the 7 seed and 1.5 above the 8 seed, so you do not want to be dropping, any seeding at all, because you definitely want to stay above the top 6 seed, so you cannot have to play a play-in game. Because I don't know how well the Pacers would go if they had to play some play-in games against, teams like Miami or Philadelphia. But yeah. At number 15, we're going to have the Miami Heat, who are 39 and 32. They went 2 and 1 this week and are currently the number 7 seed, only 4 games below the number 4 seed. So there's still a chance it could make a good run here and maybe jump up to the 4 to 5 seed. Only 1 game below the 6 seed, so definitely have a chance to get up there, but only half game above the 8 seed. So would like to see them. They would like to be able to catch up one game against a 6 seed and be in the top 6. Definitely don't want to drop to 8 because then you got to play an away playing game. They're probably not going to be dropping all the way down to 9 because they're currently 5.5 games above the number 9 seed. So looking pretty solid there. And this week they went 2-1, beating the Cavs twice, and then lost to the Pelicans. Number 14 is going to be the Cleveland Cavaliers. Even though the Heat beat them twice, I'm still going to put the Cavs over here because they did get Evan Mobley back. Should be a pretty significant piece to their addition to their roster. Obviously, he's a pretty good player for them. They're 44-28 right now. They only went 1-3 this week, which is not great. They lost to the Heat twice, like I just mentioned. They lost to the Timberwolves and they beat the Hornets. So they lost to some pretty solid teams. So I'm not really too upset about that. And now getting Evan Mobley back should help them a little bit, but they're currently only the number 3 seed, 2.5 games below the number 2 seed, so still can get up there. They're 3.5 games above the 6 seed, so only half game above the 4 and 1.5 above the 5. So very easily it could be anywhere between the 2 and 6 seed right now. Likely probably staying between that 2 to 4 range is going to be likely for them, but definitely don't want to be dropping. Certainly not any lower than 4. So you can at least get home court advantage in round 1 of the playoffs. Number 13 is going to be the Los Angeles Lakers, who are 39-32. They only played 2 games this week, but going 2-0 in the week is an accomplishment. They beat the Sixers and the Pacers, so a couple solid teams that they played and had to beat. Currently the 9 seed, only 3 games behind the number 6 seed, so it definitely could still see them jumping ahead and not even have to play a play-in game, but likely they're going to be stuck in a play-in game. They're only 2.5 below the 8 seed, so maybe if they can make a run and be a top 7 or 8 seed, then they could at least only have to win 1 out of 2 play-in games in order to make the playoffs. Right now, they're 2.5 games above the 10 seed and 3 games above the 11 seed. So really, you could see them going on a run here and being the 6 seed, or going on a losing streak here and falling out of the play-in altogether. So going to be some very crucial last few weeks of the season for the Lakers. Number 12 is going to be the Orlando Magic, who are 42-29. They went 2-1 this week. Decent week for them. They beat the Hornets, the Pelicans, and they only had a 2-point loss versus the Kings. So you're not feeling bad about those at all. They're currently the number 5 seed, only 1.5 games below the number 3 seed, 4 games behind 2. So that's less likely, but the 3 seed's definitely within reach for them. They're 2 games above the 6 seed, 3 games above the 7 seed, and 3.5 games above the 8 seed. So, realistically, you very well could see them dropping all the way down to 7 or 8 seed, or even jumping as high as probably number 2 or 3, if they got lucky with some other teams losing as well. Number 11 here is going to be the New York Knicks, who are 43-28. They went 2-1 on the week. Pretty solid week for the New York Knicks. They're currently the number 4 seed, only 3 games behind the number 2 seed, and only half a game behind the number 3 seed. And they sit 4 games above the 7 spot, so you're likely not going to see them drop all the way down to 7, which obviously is good. That means they're going to be staying in the top 6 and not have to play a play-in game. They're only 3 games above the number 6 seed, only 1 game above the 5 seed. You definitely want to try to stay above that top 4 so you can get a home court advantage in the playoffs. And Julius Randle and Mitchell Robinson should both be returning relatively soon. Mitchell Robinson maybe this week, Julius Randle maybe next week or the week after that. So as long as you can get one of those guys back in the regular season for even a couple games, should be helping you guys quite a bit to be able to stay above at least the top 6 seeds. Number 10 is going to be the New Orleans Pelicans, who are 44-27. They went 3-1 in the week, so a pretty good week here for the Pelicans. They beat the Nets, the Heat, and the Pistons. They lost to the Magic, and they also lost Brandon Ingram for 2 weeks, which is going to be hurting them quite a bit. They're currently the number 4 seed, 5 games behind the 3 seed, so they're likely not going to be able to drop or be able to jump any higher. They're tied with the 5 seed, so same exact record as the 5 seed, so you definitely would like to be able to stay above them because you don't want to have to be, on the road. But they're only sitting 2 games above the 6 or 7 seed and only 2.5 games above the 8 seed. So missing Brandon Ingram for 2 weeks definitely could make you guys go on a little bit of a losing streak and fall down to the 7 or 8 seed very quickly, which is definitely not going to be a good look because then you got to play a play-in game against somebody like the Mavericks or the Suns or the Kings. And I don't really know how well the Pelicans would hold up against either of those teams. Number 9 is going to be the Los Angeles Clippers, who are 44-27, went 2-2 on the week. Um, not the best week for them, only going 2-2. You lost to the Sixers and the Pacers. You beat the Blazers twice, so definitely two easy wins there. But you also did get Russell Westbrook back, which was a little bit sooner than expected, so that's going to be really good for you guys going forward for the rest of the regular season. And you are the number 5 seed. Like I just said, tied with the Pelicans. You like to get above them, 2 games above the 6 or 7, and 2.5 games above the 8. But the thing is, the Clippers just got Russell Westbrook back, and the Pelicans just lost Brandon Ingram for a couple of weeks. So the odds are in the Clippers' favor right now to be able to jump up above the Pelicans and be the number 4 seed. Number 8 is going to be the Phoenix Suns, who are 42-30, number 3-1 on the week. I'm currently sitting at the 8 seed, which is not great for them, but this week specifically, they beat the Sixers, Hawks, and Spurs, and then ended up losing to the Spurs as well. Only 2.5 games above the number 9 seed, so potentially could drop below there. 5 games above the 10 seed, so you're likely a lock for at least the play-in here. And you're only 2.5 games behind the number 4 seed, like I had mentioned already with the Pelicans and Clippers there. So 2.5 games either direction could be the difference between the 4 or the 9 seed for you guys. So you definitely want to be having a good stretch here to end the season. You're only half a game below the number 6 seed. So, even just one win here is going to propel you up to the number 6 seed, which will be obviously really good because then you're avoiding the play-in games. Number 7 is going to be the Dallas Mavericks, who are 42-29, are 3-0 on the week. So pretty good week, obviously, there for the Mavericks. They beat the Spurs and they beat the Jazz twice. So not the toughest competition, but still doing their job here. And they're currently the number 7 seed, 3 games above the 9 seed, only half a game above the 8 seed. They're currently tied with the number 6 seed as well, and only 2 games below the number 4 and 5 seeds. So very, very easily could be seeing them anywhere between the 4 and maybe the 9 seed here. So you like to see them at least stay above the top 6, and they currently have the same record as the Sacramento Kings, who are number 6. So obviously, as you just win one more game than the Kings the rest of the year, you're likely going to be in the top 6 seed, which is going to be very, very helpful. So you don't have to play those playing games. Number 6 is going to be the Sacramento Kings, who, like I just said, 42-29, same record as the Mavs. They went 3-1 this week. Pretty solid week here for the Sacramento Kings. They beat the Raptors, they beat the Magic, beat the Sixers. They did lose to the Wizards, though, which is a little bit concerning. But currently sitting at the 6th seed, like I just said, tied with the 7th seed. Only 2 games below the 4th seed, only half a game above the 8th seed, only 3 games above the 9 seed. So there's a whole bunch of different stuff that can happen here. But you're likely going to see them anywhere between 4 and 8, very, very easily. And you definitely would like to stay above the top 6, at the very least, so you don't have to play a playing game. Number 5 is going to be the Minnesota Timberwolves, who are 49-22. They went 2-1 on the week. Sitting here pretty comfortably in the top 3 seeds. They're currently 5 games above the number 4 seed. They're sitting at 3, and they're only 1 game behind the 2 seed, or 1.5 games behind the 1 seed, only half a game behind the 2 seed. So very easily you could see them anywhere between number 1 and number 3, which isn't a big difference, honestly, looking at this West playoffs, because the 4 through 10 are basically all up for debate. So those 4 through 8 seeds could be any of 6 teams right now. So being the 1 versus 3, you're not really caring about your seeding there, because it doesn't really make a whole lot of difference over the competition that you're going to have to play in round 1. But obviously, 1 seed would be nice, so you have home court advantage throughout the whole playoffs. And that's very, very feasible here for the Minnesota Timberwolves. Number 4 is going to be the Oklahoma City Thunder, who are 49-21. They went 2-1 on the week, doing pretty solid. But like I just said, they're half a game above the Timberwolves. They're currently sitting at the number 2 seed. They're only 1 game behind the 1 seed, so looking pretty good there. And they're whole 5.5 games above the 4 seed. So again, likely a lock for the top 3 seed. And it'd be really good for the Thunder to be able to get a 1 seed or something. That would give them some good momentum. But even the Thunder, they're going to be the Thunder get a top 2 seed and end up having to play the Suns or Lakers in round 1. That could spell some trouble for a young Thunder team with no playoff experience, little to no playoff experience at that. And the Lakers or Suns, that could potentially you could draw in a round one matchup would have a ton of playoff experience on their roster. So should be very interesting to see what happens here for the Thunder. Number 3 here is going to be the Milwaukee Bucks, who are 46-25. They went 2-1 on the week. Their only loss was a 3-point loss versus the Boston Celtics, so you're definitely not upset about that. They beat the Nets and they beat the Thunder by 25 points. Currently the number 2 seed in the East, a whole 10.5 games behind the 1 seed, so they can't get that already. Celtics already clinched the 1 seed. They're only 2.5 games above the 3, 3 games above 4, and 4 games above 5. So you have a 2.5 game lead over the 3 seed right now, which you're feeling kind of comfortable. But a losing streak could potentially drop you guys as far down as number 5. So you definitely would not want to do that. Number 2 is going to be the Denver Nuggets, who are 51-21. They went 4-0 on the week, beat the Timberwolves by 3, beat the Knicks, beat the Blazers, beat the Grizzlies. So a lot of good games here for the Denver Nuggets. Currently the 1 seed in the West. Like I said earlier, 1 game above 2 seed, 1.5 games above the 3 seed. So you're a lock for a top 3 seed basically at this point. If you would like to be the 1 seed, but you're not necessarily going to really care all that much about your seeding here. Number 1 is pretty obvious. It's the Boston Celtics. They're 57-15. Already clinched the 1 seed with a 10.5 game lead over the number 2 seed, which is, pretty insane there. They went 3-1 on the week. Beat the Bucks, beat the Pistons, beat the Bulls, and their only loss was a 2-point loss versus the Hawks. They blew like a 20-point lead in that game, so it's kind of concerning, but ultimately you're still by far and away the best record in the conference, best record in the league, and you don't really care about the rest of the regular season because you already have clinched the number 1 seed, so they might try to start resting some of their stars, so they make sure they're completely healthy and well rested for the playoffs. So looking at the top performers of this week, Jalen Green actually put up 40 points 2 different times on 7 of 13 and 7 of 11 3-point shooting. So, he's doing his best job to carry the Rockets into that number 10 seed there. Luka had a couple of different triple-doubles this week. As expected, it is Luka. Wemby had a double-double with 6 blocks. He had a 30-16 game, which is, pretty good, I would say. Jokic had a triple-double with 30, 14, and 11. Another double-double with 35 and 16. Jared Allen had a 20-20 game, pretty good there. Dante DiVincenzo, of all people, dropped a 40 bomb. Sabonis had a triple-double twice this week. He's pretty good at those. Paolo had a triple-double. DeMar hit up 27 with 5 steals. Anthony Davis had 23 and 19 with 4 blocks. Then he had a 36 and 16 game. Bam had a 15-point, 16-board, 5-steal game. Josh Hart had himself a triple-double. Giannis was 1 board shy of a 30-20 game with 30 points and 19 rebounds. DeJounte Murray had 19 points with 15 assists. Jeremy Shohan had 26 points and 18 rebounds, so pretty good stat line for him. And looking at our reward races right now, MVP race is the exact same. Jokic, Shea, Luka, Giannis, and Tatum. Rookie of the Year is the exact same. Wemby, Chet, Brandon Miller, Jaime Jaquez, Brandon Podziemski. Most improved players a little bit different. Maxey and White stay at 1 and 2. Jonathan Kuminga jumps above Jalen Williams for 3. And you got Jalen Williams dropping to 4. And Jalen Johnson stays at number 5. 6 Men of the Year, Naz Reid jumped above Norm Powell to be number 2, but Norm Powell drops to 3. But then 1 is still Malik Monk, 4 is still Bobby Portis, and 5 is still Karis LeVert. Clutch Player of the Year, DeMar stays at 1, Curry stays at 2, Dame jumps above Shea to get to 3, while Shea drops to 4, and Jokic is at number 5. Coach of the Year, Daignault stays at 1, Jamal Mosley jumps above Chris Finch and Joe Mazzulla to jump up to number 2, while Chris Finch drops to 3 and Mazzulla drops to 4. And then Rick Carlisle stays at number 5. And Defensive Player of the Year, Rudy and Wemby stay at 1 and 2. Bam jumps above Allen to number 3, while Allen drops to number 4. And Anthony Davis stays at number 5. So not a whole lot of movement with this, just a couple things going on, but the favorites for every single award stayed the exact same. And that is going to be the video. Thank you for watching. Make sure to come back next week for an updated power rankings list. And I'll probably have some sort of award prediction here coming out as soon as the regular season ends.